That is the thing which is caused due to the uh, basically deficiency of vitamin A. And actually what happens that this type of diseases will be developing at the time when the children is growing inside the mother's womb. That means if mother is not having the adequate diet, there may be the possibility that the child which is developing inside, uh, they it have these types of disorder from birth only. Okay, so that's what the condition can be. And in the initial years of kids, it is basically very difficult to identify that the kid is suffering from these types of diseases, because the thing is, kid cannot explain the condition very well, that what happens when the light goes off or the light is dim. Okay, so that you have to make out as a guardian, those who are living around the kid, they have to make out all these things. And gradually, when the kid explains all these things, uh, this disease is very much matured, and it becomes, and it remains for the lifetime, till the kid is will be living, that this night blindness and all these things will be remaining for the lifetime. Okay, so this is the one cause. Then there may be the possibility of different type of conditions also. Suppose if genetically they have the history of night blindness, and if the next generation is not taken proper care of vitamins and all that, all these nutrient supply, there may be the possibility that they may suffer from all these diseases. So this is the one thing that is can be discussed about. And basically, uh, if we say uh, uh, the people who live in Asian continents, basically on this side, that is India, Sri Lanka, or if you talk about Bangladesh and all these things, uh, the organs are considerably very much what we will say, that they are very much uh, strong enough genetically, that basically the people of these countries don't have these types of diseases in generally in the common population. Okay, it is there, but it is not the way the people from the European or some other countries are having. If you go for the statistical data, uh, because it is somewhere being studied that the genes of the Asian countries are comparatively stronger. They are on the wider adaptability. That's why. So the reason is nowadays kids are having at a very young age, if they are having specs and all that, that is just because of the change of the lifestyle, and the change of the diet, and all these things. That's why kids are suffering from this. Otherwise, if you see some old generations, you may see that they don't have the specs, no matter if they are old also. They don't have these types of problem, like they cannot see properly, or something that is going wrong with their organs or something like that. You must have heard, if you have not seen, you must have heard from your family member discussion or something like that. Have you been means these types of things, have you heard?
Yes, miss. Older generation people do not have spectacles.
Yeah, they don't have, and they comparatively they have the things, means the lifestyle diseases which we say, like diabetes and all these things, they don't have. The reason is uh, genetically they we have that type of genetic constituents that we don't suffer from these diseases easily. But nowadays it is very much prominent. The reason is the change of lifestyle and change of the culture. So this is also one of the diseases which is included in that. And after this, let me come up with the similar to this, that is color blindness. Okay. So, color blindness is basically in Indian population, it is being said that people are having a general defect when they cannot identify the red and green. For them, everything is red. They cannot see either green, or if they can see green, they cannot see the red. That's how they have these types of things, situation. So basically, they just know that there is a one color, but they don't know how does it looks
Yes,
like.
ma'am.
Okay. So for them, it is very much difficult to even identify the color of an apple. So that's how difficult the situation can be. And the thing is, you cannot say that if somebody is having this particular color blindness or something like that, that they are having some very severe problem regarding the vision or something like that. They only one thing they are suffering is that they cannot differentiate the colors. And for traffic, if they go for the traffic light, for them red and green is also uh, everything is same for them. So they just what they do, they just keep their senses on. If the traffic is on, they will keep on working, and if it stops, they will not see go for the light or something like. Okay, so that's what the condition for the color blindness people is. And uh, like this, there are two other things like uh, another thing that is called squinting. Squinting is something that is, you may have seen that some people have that type of eyes, that their eyeballs will be always remaining near nose. Means if they are bringing it near, it seems like that. Or they have that type of problem that you cannot locate to whom they are looking to. If they are looking at you, but you will feel that they are the eyeballs are towards you, but they will be looking at something else. That is called squinting. Okay, that means cross eye, or that type of condition are arising in the squint condition. And nowadays it is treatable. A small little bit surgery type of thing can be done, and the person can treat that thing, because these things will be problem in the social life of a human. Like the way, suppose if somebody who is very young and who is having this problem, cross eye problem and all this, so there may be problem arising like social conditions like marriage or something like that, so they can have these treatment also. So squinting. And third, last one that we'll be discussing is corneal opacities. The spelling you will just note down. Uh, it is the because then suppose if you got seriously injured on eye and your cornea is getting distorted just because of the injury, so that lead to the partial blindness sometimes, or the complete blindness if the injury is very much severe. The thing is, the transparency of that particular region will be gone of your eye, and you cannot the transmission of light cannot be done, and that's the reason people may suffer from these types of disease. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so basically, all these diseases and the conditions are are the thing which are sometimes it's like it's common and it's not it's general. Apart from this injury part, rest of the things are sometimes are not basically identified in the population. So it is something which is to be studied, and much more things has to be done regarding this. So that is what the condition of these vision or eye or whatever you say. So nowadays there is a lot of technology, and the thing is regarding eye, regarding the optic part, the surgery is now painless, and it is done with the help of without shedding your blood or something like that. So it's be completely technically it is very much going to the smart way, because everything is done with the help of lasers. And that's why nowadays if you go in the field of the, if you means if you opt for doctorate and if you are going for this particular masters, like for the eye or something like that, nowadays this thing is very normal to do for the doctors, and for people, for the population also, it is a normal culture to follow all these operations. Because in previous the if you look for 15 or 20 years back, it was not so easy to do the cataract. It was not so easy to uh, clear these rectify the vision and defects of vision. But nowadays it is done within 5 to 10 minutes with the help of lasers. That's how the technology is being going so very fast with this. Is even if you have the specs, if the kids are having specs, and in when they are going to be adult and they don't want to keep the specs, there are so many methods through which these laser technology and all that they can rectify, and without the specs they can just lead a normal life. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's how it is. Anything regarding I, if you want to discuss, just ask me. Otherwise, we will start with the ear today.
Miss, can you please explain once again presbyopia disease?
Presbyopia. Okay, fine. It is, it is just a similar thing. You have the far-sightedness, the defect. Okay, when you cannot see the nearby objects. Okay, so basically what happens that this type of far-sightedness should occur when you have a certain age. Okay, but now it is not restricted to some age group or something like that. So it is same as far-sightedness, but if it occurs in the adult or the old people, those who are above 60 or above 65, if for the whole life they don't have any vision defect or any problem, and suddenly they have the problem of reading something which is nearby, or they cannot see the things clearly, at that time if the defect arises, this farsightedness, then it is called presbyopia.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay,
Miss, normally it is called hyperopia, and then if it is in old people, then it is called presbyopia.
presbyopia. Okay, fine, that's what it is, the condition. Because for the whole life the person doesn't have any defect regarding eye, and suddenly it developed just due to the age factor, and that's why that condition is named differently. uh, uh, Basically it is said that when previously when we were the students at very in class 6 or 7, At that time, it was said that nearsightedness is for younger people and farsightedness is for older people. That's what the one point of differences we used to write it. But now it is not the condition, because there may be the possibility that young generation also suffer from this farsightedness or hyperopia. Okay. So, but if it is in old age, then it is presbyopia.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. So, shall we start with the ear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The thing is, I have gone through the content of your book,
Yes, miss.
and
Ear is.
yes, dear.
Miss, I'm telling that in our book the ear part is very much less. It's not given in too much detail.
Yeah, that's what the thing is. Actually, they have used some of the words, but they have not explained. So, the thing is, it makes little bit difficult sometimes for me that just see that how much we can clarify. I will try to make the things easy for you. And the thing is, basically, actually, the things they are taking up in class 10, uh, sometimes they take up too much the explanation, and sometimes it's like they just write down the name and leave it. So it is bit problematic. For class 12th, it will be okay. I can teach everything. But the thing is that is um, class 10th, you are still very small for it. Just see that how much I can make you understand. I will definitely show you some of the pictures. You just see them so that you can relate. Okay, fine. There are so many things inside it, and after that, just forget it. Okay, you don't have to remember all these things. So let's begin with this. Just hold on. Let me keep the pictures here so that I can show you simultaneously. Okay, fine. So let's start with this here. Okay. So very important sense organ, and this makes a very it is important because it identifies the sound. No other part of your body can do it. No other sense organ can support this particular sensory impulse. It's only the ear which can collect the sound and rectifies it, modifies it, and do everything. And your brain is related to the sound just because of the external ears we are having. Okay. So the thing is, if we classify, if we draw the structure of the ear, everything, and if we go till inner ear, it is something which is you just have to make little bit things are clear. Just hold on. Okay. Pictures are over here. Okay, sir. Let's start with this. That first of all, ear. If we go, the ear is for the human ear. If we say, it is being classified into three sections first of all. So the first I think in class 9th it is there for you, little bit of introduction.
Don't remember, miss. I don't think so.
Okay, fine. No worries. So let's see this. It is being classified as external. Then we have middle. And then we have the inner. Okay. So the thing is, if we go for the external ear, it is something which is lying outside. You can see it very clearly, and the thing that is being if we classify structurally, this external ear have two types of classification. Further, let me write it down. Okay, so I will write down that it is classified as pinna. Okay, and next it is also having that is external auditory canal. Okay, the thing is, you may ask me that, ma'am, canal is belonging to something which is to the inner ear part, definitely. But the thing is, the one which you can touch with your finger when you just move your finger little bit in your ear, the one which is coming in contact with your finger, that is still the part of the external ear. Okay, so basically it is not canal, it is biologically the word is called meatus. Okay, just I'm giving you this word. There may be the possibility it must be not there, just don't worry. Okay, so pinna and external auditory meatus is there, that place where you can have a little bit of wax and hairs. Okay, that is the place it is classified as external ear for us. So if I just I will show you the diagram. I was teaching to class 12th, so I have it ready made. Okay, can you see this? So this is the part which is classified as external ear. Understood this till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so pinna is have two sections. The upper one is called helix, and the lower one is called lobule, the one which is the smoother one. You just see to this, and if you don't have this part in your book, just leave it. Okay, so this is called helix, this is called lobule, and that makes the whole ear. Until here it will be external because this part you can see externally also if you put the torch, and it is very much clear that all these things you can see very clearly. Okay, so it is classified as the external one. Now the thing is, let come up with the middle part of the ear. So let me write down first of all, so in diagram you can relate it very well. So middle portion will be having different sections. So first is there, the one which I will be giving you, that is called tympanum. Okay, or tympanic membrane. uh, the membrane which is called the eardrum in normal language if we say. Okay, so or in Hindi it is being said that kan ka parda. That's what is being justified regarding that word. So that is called tympanic membrane. This membrane is just like the way you have a small layer of skin which is very sensitive and very delicate, uh, just the way you have a layer on the milk. the thin layer on the milk which is being setted up, the creamy layer. Similarly, that type of delicate part that is called tympanic membrane is there. And after that, there comes your ear ossicles. Okay, ear ossicles, or I will say ear bones. Okay. So there are three bones. Basically, you have
Smelly.
malleus, incus, and
Incus
stapes.
and
So malleus, incus, and stapes are the three bones which are there. So uh, three bones are situated in the middle ear. Then you have these things. I will just take up over here that the one I will introduce, that is eustachian tube. Okay, so this tube is something which keeps your ear moist. It lubricates basically. The basic lubrication is provided by this eustachian canal, and uh, everything regarding air pressure and it should not harm the inner, that means this part with the air pressure and all that, and with the dryness, everything is maintained by this eustachian tube. And I will take one more thing, that is I will write down somewhere here because it is coming just above the eustachian canal. If diagrammatically, if you see, that's why I will be writing over here that windows. Two types of windows are there, and that is oval and round. Okay, so two windows are there which are classified, which are basically they are lying just above the eustachian canal. Okay, so that's why I have written like this, and they are two, oval and round. And biologically, it is not oval and round; it is called fenestra ovalis and fenestra rotunda. So, but no worries. So just have these diagram with you. Can you see this? This is the part which is called tympanic membrane. Then you have a bone, that is malleus. Okay, so malleus is nothing but the hammer-like bone. Can you see that this protrusion is coming out, which is ready to bang the bones, which are lying after that. Okay, and this is called incus. Incus is the one which, just like a hook, it is holding both the bones. This is called stapes. So it is holding, incus is holding malleus, incus is holding stapes on the another side. So it's like a hook in the, at this place, and it will keep in these bones like this so that they can vibrate easily. So incus is having little bit of flexibility like this so that it can allow the bones to vibrate through this area. Understood this?
yes, miss.
Okay, then lower side, can you see, this is the eustachian tube, and this tube is basically connected to your throat region. That's why when you put some any type of drops in your ears, if or if you put the oil in the ear, then you can taste it in your throat region, somewhere in the lower part. Okay, so that's the reason, is this eustachian tube will be connected over there, and the things are going through this region, through your throat region and all this. So this is the eustachian canal, and just above to it lies these two windows, that is oval and round windows. Can you see this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is how the this particular middle ear is being there. Now see this bit. Actually, some books classify these windows as a part of inner ear. Some books are giving you as a part of middle ear. Some will say that oval is for middle and round is for inner. So there may be the variation in explanation when you go through the description. Just don't get confused. If your book is defining anything which is like inner or middle, you just follow that. But logically, you should understand that where it is being situated. Can you understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there may be variation in the explanation also and description, because the thing is, if I teach 12th, it is coming like this, and if I read your book, it is a little bit variation is there, so just follow that part. Okay.
Okay,
uh,
ma'am.
okay, so that's what the middle ear, that's how it looks like. And hammer, anvil, and staves is in called stirrup. These are the English word for these bones. Malleus incus stapes are the biological bones, biological words. So this is how it is being, this particular thing is being classified. If it is clear for you, then I can remove it. Shall I?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is how the external and the middle ear RB is located. Now, just see this, that these windows, if I just mention to you, are very important, because the thing is, uh, as we say that they are windows, they do have the curtains also. So these curtains, curtains will be lying on the middle ear. After that, whatever the things are there, that will be part of the inner ear. Okay. So after these windows, the whole inner ear journey will start. And this inner ear is very, if I say, it's a very complex, and it's a little bit, it's something which is, if you see to it, there are so many parts which are located just at only the one location. That means if you draw the diagram, it is sometimes uh, at the same point you will be writing two three type of labelings at one go. So just I didn't understand this. First of all, let me write down the inner ear. Okay. So inner ear will be having some that is called, if I say, semi-circular ducts. Okay. So there are semicircular ducts. Then you have the region that is called vestibule. Okay. Then you have the one that is called cochlear duct. There may be the possibility people may pronounce it as a cochlear also. No worries. Anything you can be said, it's a English. You can exploit it. Okay. So semicircular ducts, vestibule or cochlear duct. This is how it is being internal ear or inner ear have the sections. Now just imagine the situation first of all, Vita, that this inner ear is basically inside your skull. Okay. So just see that the way, do you eat egg? Have you you eat egg? Do you know how the egg is there?
Yes, miss. I
Okay,
eat egg.
okay, fine. Have you seen the boiled egg?
Yes, ma'am. Why not?
Okay, the thing is, if you see the boiled egg, in that, what we, after boiling, what happens, that the outer covering you can just remove like this, the shell part which is there. You the shell is having the inside, everything is being then stuffed and it is being fixed. and it will not move. This is the way the boiled egg looks like. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Similarly, the structure of inner ear is there. That means the thing, internally the skull is just protecting it. The way the eggshell is there, that shell will be there, and inside the this softer tissue, that means inner ear will be present, and it will be stuffed, and it will not be moving anyhow. So all these ducts, if you open them, they will be very long if you consider. Okay. But they are so much compactly packed, and they are placed in one compact shell. So this is how the internal ear is present. If we say, if we classify the whole whatever is written over here, that is the part of membranous part, means softer tissue, soft part of the inner ear, and outside the shell is called bony covering. So inner ear will be protected in the one bony shell. Actually shell is not the word, biologically it is called labyrinth. And similarly you have, these are the labyrinths, which are the softer one, and they are protected in this bony shell. This is how the inner ear will be present. Understood this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I will just show you one picture, just hold on. Can you see this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is how it will be compactly arranged. Can you see the circles? That it will be, if you will be opening it, it will be too long, these ducts and all that. But it is circularly arranged, and it is compactly made in a very smaller portion, and that is what the inner ear is, which is being protected in the bony shell. Understood this?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so I will just simplify
This
this
is the
part as
cochlea.
much I can do, and I will show you the easier diagram for this, so that you can make sure that you don't get confused with this. Okay, so basically
Ma'am,
what
cochlear
I
duct is only cochlea.
uh, sorry, would have just repeat.
Yes, I'm telling cochlear duct is only the
No
cochlea
beta,
part.
that's what I will be coming
Yeah,
up. Okay,
the diagram.
it's bit because these words are used simultaneously, and it should not be done. It will lead to the confusion. Now see this part, whatever I am showing, it's a bony shell. Okay, so can you see this semilunar canal, vestibule, and cochlea? This is how I have drawn. This is the bony one. Okay, so I have not written over duct. I have not written anything like duct over here. Is it clear
So
to
then
you?
which is the cochlear duct?
Now, inside whatever the soft tissue will be there, that is the cochlear duct.
Okay,
Okay,
ma'am.
the shell which is holding it, it is cochlea, and the inside that duct will be present. Then it is called cochlear duct. Is it clear to you now?
Okay, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, so the because in book it is not being mentioned. So for if I take out the shell for the ear, if I take the bony shell out, I will be labeling it like this: that semicircular canal region, vestibule region, and cochlea. Because bony shell will not be showing you any passage or something like that. It will be only showing you the grooves or little bit of texture regarding this particular duct, nothing else. But if I remove the inner ear from this bony shell, then it will look like this. That is, semicircular ducts will be open out, vestibule will come out, and cochlear duct will come out. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's how it is. This is the membranous part, that means the softer part, that is original inner ear. It is. which does everything regarding the sound, and this is the shell which is protecting that inner ear. So that is how it has been mentioned. So this is how the semicircular canal ducts are there, and then you have followed by vestibule, and this is the cochlear ducts. Now just see this, that uh, this particular inner ear, first of all, it is filled with fluid. It is not empty. Everything is filled with fluid completely. So that part we will be following right now. And these ducts, all these sections like this, like all these things, can you see the joining over here? They have a very important function for the whatever you hear. Everything has a very important function regarding this. So every fold, every joint, everything is making so much sense over here. So that part you have to understand. So now see this, that uh, if we go for these particular ducts and all these things, then you have some uh, uh, if you take out the section, suppose if I take out the whole duct, and if I want to see that what how the fluid is maintained, then this particular thing, that means I think perilymph and all these things are being given in your book.
Yes, miss.
Okay, so the thing is how it is being present. If you see the internal ear, just hold on, I will show you. This on there. See this. uh, if I take out the whole these canals and I just straight it out, you can see that inside whatever is present, that is called endolymph, and this membranous part is protected like this, and it is having the outer covering also, which is filled with the perilymph. Okay, so if I say, if in this diagram I will show you that inside, if you go inside the inner ear, you will be having the endolymph, and outside it is protected by the perilymph. The way lamination has been done, similarly the whole membranous part of the ear will be will be surrounded by the perilymph, so that it absorbs the shock and it will not be getting disturbed with any type of mechanical or physical injury. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that is how these canals are being there. Then just see to this, that we have these windows, very important. So oval window and round window, and this is how it is taking the turn and it is coming again outside. Why you have both the windows when we saw the diagram, when it is gone, why it is lying just one above the another, why they are situated like this? The reason is, when they are if you move inside the oval window, then it will be like this, and it is taking turn and it is coming up over here again. That's how the window is get ended over here. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and this thing, the whole tube which I have shown, it will be taking so many twists and turns after before ending. All these things will be done, then only it will be ending. So that type of turns and all these are required for amplification of the sound. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
I think the word amplifier is must be clear to you. Amplify, which uh, I think
Yes, ma'am.
according to physics I cannot explain, but the thing which increases the little bit of sound. Okay, so that is what
Yes,
the
ma'am.
amplifier is. Okay, so that is how it is. This inner ear is there. Now, just see to this that if we talk about the inner ear will be having these things, that means called if I go for the further explanation for semilunar ducts and cochlear duct, then you will understand that this cochlear ducts is having so many sensory cells inside it. Okay, so these sensory cells are responsible for identification of the sound and means receiving the sound. They will receive the sound and then they will send it to the brain to identify and to justify what is happening. And after that, if you identify the sound, then your reaction will be different. That will be decided by brain. If it is unknown, if it is new sound, then what will be your reaction? Everything is done by this particular sensory cells which are present in cochlear duct. Okay, so now see this. These semilunar ducts are having further internal things that is there. It is called ampulla and crista is there. Okay, and vestibule is something is having uh, a large and small part, that is, I will not write the biological terms for this, that is called utricle and secular. It is there, but here this vestibule is having a small stones inside it, just like the granules. Okay, they are present in the vestibule region. Now these ear stones, whatever is present, they are having the sensory contact, means they, in this region also some sensory cells are there, and these stones are having the direct contact with these sensory cells. So what happens that if this is the vestibule region and it is having these stones, so inside the whole lymph, that particular fluid is present, endolymph is there, and in that these stones will be lying. Sorry, you cannot see that picture, right? So inside these stones will be lying. Now what happens that whenever your body is disbalanced, okay, then the first thing which will be balancing your body will be your hand and your head. You try to make it straight, you try to come up with the thing, with the posture. So what happens whenever the posture is bit disturbed, if we talk about regarding the equilibrium of the body. Okay, so what happens that whenever it is disturbed, the stones will move on that side. Suppose if you are moving, if your body is tilted over here, the stones will come up over here. And if the body is moving here, the stones will come up over here. They are just moving like this. So what happens that suddenly your hands will be up in the air to balance your body. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am, it is clear.
Okay, I will just give you the example. If you walk on a narrow wall or on the railway track or something like that, you have must have done, you must have seen that automatically your air hands will be on sides to balance your body.
Yes, ma'am, balancing the body.
Balancing, so that part is done because of these ear stones which are present in the vestibule region, and that sense of balancing is just given by because of presence of these stones. If these stones are not there, your body will not be balanced. So that's why ear is very important to maintain the equilibrium of your body, that is central axis of your body. Otherwise your body will not know to move on which side and how to balance each and everything. You must have seen the older people, sometimes they just suddenly drop on the floor, or suddenly they will tilt on one side, just by sitting only or just by walking only. They lose that type of balancing. Have you seen it?
Yes, ma'am. That's
Okay, if you
prevalent
see
in
very old person,
grandparents
yeah,
don't
that
maintain the
this
balance.
is, yeah, this is happening. The reason is the sensory cells in this region are becoming less sensitive and they cannot give you the sense of balancing sometimes. Understood this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is how this
Yes, ma'am.
vestibule is there. Yes dear. Anything?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so it is present. Now if we say this particular region, if cochlear duct, cochlear duct have the whole sensory network inside it, and that is called organ of corti. Okay, so organ of corti is present, and this organ of corti is very complex network of the things. I will show you the picture. Can you see this? This is present in the cochlear duct. Okay, now see this, it have
Yes,
hair
miss, it is.
cells. Yeah, it have hair cells, it has different types of cells over here, pillar cells, phalangeal cells, and all these, and one membrane is there. So what happens that whenever the sound is coming, this tectorial membrane is present on these types of cells, these phalangeal and pillar cells, and they are lying like this, and this tectorial membrane will be somewhere on their upper portion. So what happens that uh, and it will be holded by these border cells, these particular tectorial membrane. So whenever the sound is coming, this particular tectorial membrane will start hitting this cells tips like this, dig 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 dig. This is how it will make the sound. And whenever these vibration will be there, these sensory cells will receive the impulse of the sound, and that is how you will identify the whole sounds thing which is coming to you. Understood this?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is only one. There are so many in the this particular cochlear duct. So that is why you can simultaneously we can have the exposure to so many types of sounds simultaneously, and in that also you can identify the familiar sounds. Reason is just because of these things. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am. Now it's clear.
Okay, fine. So this is how the cochlear duct is having these organ of corti. Very important part to study, and very important just for the thing that which gives you the sense of identification of familiar, non-familiar, or something which is harsh, something which is soft, or something which is, suppose if you hear the music, it is soothing. Everything is the signal is given by these tectorial membrane, and then these sensory cells, the cells which I have shown you like this, they are like this, they have nerve impulses after running through them, and that nerve impulses will directly go to the region where region of the brain where your sound identification section is there, and there it will be everything study will be done, and then you have the reaction. And can you imagine that suppose if you are walking in a garden and somebody calls you from the backside, and if you identify, oh fine, that's a sound of your friend who is not met you for 1 year or 2 years, and suddenly but you identify, okay, it's a familiar sound, and suddenly your reaction will be, you will turning and you will be giving the reaction. So how fast these things will be working out? Got
Yes,
it?
miss.
Okay. Or suddenly if the shocking sound or something which is not bearable, if it is coming, suddenly you will put your hands on your ears. The reason is uh, the fastest system that is working, that is organ of cut.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So this is how the whole hearing and the whole system of the ear will work. Anything regarding the diagram, anything or any part if you have not understood, just let me know.
No, I have no, miss. I have understood all the points.
Understood, no? Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am. It's
this is how it will work, and this is how the whole I tried to simplify it better because uh, for class 10th I just it is sometimes very make confusion sometimes, because I cannot teach you everything in class 10th. That's why. So this is how it is working out, and There are diseases of disorder of this also, if you talk about hearing, but I think for eye it is given, for ear nothing is given in your book. Am I right?
Nothing is given for year.
Okay, fine. So ears are too healthy to discuss about the diseases. So fine. So that's what is regarding the ears. And so next chapter, if we decide to do, beta, which one will be comfortable for both of you if you follow the syllabus?
Miss circulatory system.
Okay, fine. So sense organ is done today. So shall we start with the
Miss, now.
circulatory?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So circulatory we will be taking tomorrow at 6:30. We will be meeting again.
Okay, miss, no problem.
No, still I will give you the confirmation at in evening or at late night. Will it be okay?
Yes, ma'am. It
Okay.
will be okay.
Okay, fine. So circulatory we will be starting with this chapter, then followed by excretory, then endocrine and reproductive we will be taking up them simultaneously. Got it?
Okay, ma'am. And I will send you the PDF of circulatory system.
Oh, thank you so much, Vita. Okay. Thank you so much. So you can leave. Do you have a school right now?
No, right now, today, miss, I don't have it.
Okay, fine. So, fine. So you can leave now, and we will hopefully we will try to do the class tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Same to you.